Welcome back to this Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching Closing Bell with me, Nandita, Khemka, and what an afternoon it's turning out to be for the market. In recent times, we haven't really seen the markets react in the fashion that they have to a central bank policy, and that's exactly what the RBI has achieved. It's managed to bring the bulls back from a slumber. It's an over 200-point move on the Nifty. We have reclaimed that 24,850 mark on an intraday basis. We are perched near the day's high. And it's not about the headlines that came out of the RBI policy in terms of rates or stance. It's actually about the slew of banking reforms or banking regulations that the governor announced that took the markets by surprise, positive surprise, so to say, which is why we are seeing the Nifty Bank Index leading from the front. A slew of announcements, and we will take you through them as we progress through the show. But yes, that engine of the market has started firing. Whether or not this is just a relief rally, whether we see more upside from here, that's something that our experts will be able to answer, because we have seen an 8-day slump today, finally coming out of that slump. Otherwise, it would have been a 9 straight day of slump, and that we haven't seen in a long time. So yes, that hasn't happened, thankfully, and the festive cheer is back on the Lal Street, and tomorrow, of course, is the Dussehra. The mood was pretty somber, but now, of course, we've seen the RBI managing to lift the overall sentiment in the market. Lots to discuss really, but it's been a solid start. Let's take a look at what the mid cap index is also doing. It is up 0.9%, but it is lagging the benchmarks, which are up somewhere around 1% or thereabouts. The breadth is fairly solid. Almost 5:2. That's the NSE advanced decline ratio. 2,082 gainers to 765 laggards. So, firmly in favor of gainers, and portfolios would be looking good, ahead of the Dussehra holiday as well. The Bank Nifty up 1.5%, 55,350. That's where we are at. 55,000 was a crucial level, and we have cleared that quite decisively on the Nifty Bank Index. In terms of the other sectoral movers, PSU banks, interestingly, are taking a backseat today, catching their breath, so to say. So far, we had seen PSU banks leading from the front in a weakish market, but today, some bit of profit taking in the PSU lot. But otherwise, all the other sectors, even pharma among the gainers, 1.5% gain on the Nifty Pharma Index. Realty is upbeat. Autos. We'll also talk about the auto sales figures that have been trickling in since morning. They are pretty solid. Solid start to the festive season for automakers, and that was being expected in light of the GST rate cuts that took place on the 22nd of September. So that pocket is also in focus. IT also participating, up almost 0.8%. So is FMCG. Metals have been doing well any which ways last few days, and it's extending its gain today as well. Among the individual movers then, Shriram Finance, that stock is up 6%. It's really took off. There were reports that a foreign giant may be looking to buy stake, but of course, there's been some kind of clarification from the company. They have denied it, but nevertheless, we can see a very smart up move on a stock, on the stock of Shriram Finance. Tata Motors is the other one that's fired up in trade. October 14th. Business demerger with CV business demerger. That's another stock that's in focus. And aside of that, if you look at some of the other movers, you have Kotak Mahindra Bank, Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank. All of these gaining anywhere between 1.5 to 4% actually. Kotak Mahindra Bank is up almost 4%. Trent, top laggard of 2025, staging a good day today. Sun Pharma as well on the back of the deal with Pfizer, some bit of reprieve in terms of tariffs. So that's another stock that's in focus. What's not doing well today? The laggards list is pretty slim, thankfully so. Ultratech Cement is fretting. Bajaj Finance is under pressure, and so is SBI. Bajaj Auto has slipped into the red. Tata Steel, Bharti Airtel, Asian Paints, and Hero MotoCorp are also in the red. NTPC Coal India being some of the other movers. Just want to check if our guest is through. Let's go and touch base with him. Joining us is Kuunal Shah, Associate Fund Manager at Carnelian Capital. Kuunal, if you can hear me, hope you're doing well. Wishing you a very happy Dussehra in advance, because we have a market holiday tomorrow. Festive cheer back on the street thanks to RBI Before we talk about the RBI decision and banks in particular, what are your thoughts? Do you think this is just a relief rally, or do you think this could be the start of an up move? What is it looking like to you?
Thank you so much. Nice to be on the show back after a long time and wishing all your viewers and yourself as well happy festive season boots. Right, coming to banks, I think this is the start. Loan growth, which was lacking, will start getting reflected because of all the actions that have been taken in the last 6 months. NIM pressure, which was there, right, which was impacting the PPOP growth, will also be back from Q3. Largely, Q2 should see, NIMs bottoming out for most of the banks. So basically, we'll have loan growth coupled with NIM compression, which was happening and not been there, leading to a good PPOP growth. There has been no visible signs of stress in the system so far, except for a few pockets like CVs, etc. So that also augurs well for banks, and few select pockets have got good valuation comfort as well, right? So I think banks selectively should do very well from year on for the next 1 year, specifically, starting from Q2 onwards, where things will kind of bottom out.
Hmm. Okay. When you say banks, are you more tilted towards private or PSU banks?
I think mix of both will do well. PSU banks also should do well because valuation comfort is there. There has been no visible stress, in the book so far in all the areas that they are there. So PSU banks also should kind of do well, and select private banks for sure should also kind of do well.
Hmm. All right. A mix of both. That's the view. Also, going by the governor's language, earlier in August, he had mentioned that there is limited room for accommodation. But today, of course, they dropped the word limited, and it was actually room for accommodation. I think that's another reason why the market's fired up, because that opens up the doors for more rate cuts. Some of the analysts I spoke to are betting on one rate cut of 25 basis points, but there are others who are betting on two for this fiscal. At Carnelian, what is the thought process like after the policy? Would you expect two more cuts, one in December and one in Feb?
I think one rate cut should be there for sure because inflation has been under check. And
Hmm.
what all we can do to boost up our domestic economy so far has been done, right? Results obviously will have to be seen, and they always come with a lag impact. Even when there was a little bit of challenge on liquidity front, etc., about a year back, it took about 6 months for that to boil down into the system, right? So there's always a lag impact, which kind of trickles down to the economy. So I think all the positive actions that have been taken will eventually start getting reflected in numbers from 1 quarter or so. And inflation being under the check, there is for sure room for one rate cut, which I believe will be monitored as to how we progress. And if need be, I'm sure that will be there around the corners as well.
Hmm. Okay, that's the view. 25 basis point is a given, but beyond that, of course, there could be more as well. But RBI also announced a plethora of other measures aimed at boosting bank credit to the economy, including making it more relevant for corporate borrowers, acquisition finance. Will credit growth pick up substantially if all these proposals go through?
I think it will. See, we have been, hovering around 8%, 9% systemic loan growth for quite some time now.
Hmm.
Right? It's almost been about given 8 to 9 months out there, post a very good double-digit loan growth that we were seeing before that, right? I think with all the actions that have been taken, right, not only GST rate cut, which is the recent one, but also a lot of other actions that have been taken when it comes to easing of liquidity, opening up of risk weights for unsecured, and also now the actions, right, that have been taken. Domestic economy will propel, and that will kind of aid, banking credit growth again back to double digits. That coinciding with NIM kind of stabilizing, should like really, lead banks to cheer from here on when it comes to the PPOP growth. And as I said, there's no early signs of any stress so far, except for a few pockets out and there,
Hmm.
likes of CV or small ticket size loans. right? I think all of this should kind of augur well for the banks as a whole, and particularly for your question, we should be back to a double-digit loan growth in about a quarter or so from here on, for sure.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Double-digit loan growth in a quarter from now. How would you look at NBFCs? Because there's another announcement. Indian banks may be allowed to finance acquisitions by Indian corporates. That's something that we haven't seen. I don't know when last banks were financing M&As. NBFCs and private equity players have been doing that so far. So, how will NBFCs? What's the call there now? That's a negative for them, right? Because it will the banks will now gain share out there.
Yeah, I think still there are a lot of pockets where NBFCs have a very big role to play, right? To name out few, SME credit, I still think, NBFCs play a very big role. The kind of turnaround time that they have, the kind of diligence that they would be able to do, right, in comparison to the banks. There are pockets, of housing finance, LAP, where still NBFCs have a very big role to play, right? So I think basically NBFCs, in a good credit environment generally does well, and also, when liquidity starts to ease, which is happening right now as well. Banks will kind of do good, but NBFCs will have their own role to play. Select NBFCs, we are investors in select NBFCs, and we believe them to kind of do better in terms of loan growth than banks, and do better when it comes to NIM improvement in comparison to banks as well, in a interest rate environment which we are seeing right now. So to answer your question specifically on NBFCs, NPFCs should also kind of do well, and there is a role for them to play, and there will be a role for them to play as well, in a credit environment which we will have from a quarter or so.
Hmm. We're talking about NBFCs. How do you really play the auto theme? Because autos have already seen quite a bit of an up move, a good rally over the last 1.5 months, ever since the GST reform announcement was made by the Prime Minister. So we've seen a sizable up move any which ways, and today, of course, we are seeing all the auto sales numbers trickling in. They are good as was being expected, and they are expected to pick up even further in October and November as well, right? But would you play this theme by auto finance companies now, because demand for loans also goes up rather?
I still believe, when it comes to auto financing, right, we still have dominant CV financiers, right? What we are seeing right now, basically is,
Hmm.
PV doing very well, two-wheelers kind of doing very well. So still, if one wants to play and should play, auto, is largely through auto OEMs, and then there are few still auto anchors which relatively have kind of not rallied in comparison to their major OEMs whom they supply to have rallied, right? So there is still a play available in auto anchors, which obviously will do good, as auto OEMs start to do well. So auto anch, in my mind, along with auto
Hmm.
OEMs, will still be the right way to kind of play the uptick that is happening in the on the auto space, as also reflected in the monthly numbers that came out today, be it tractors or be
Hmm.
it few PV plays numbers that came out.
All right, got your point. One more point, going back to the RBI policy and some announcements that the governor really made. Guidelines to lending against securities and to capital market intermediaries have also been eased, right? I mean, more loans against shares, more IPO financing. As a result of higher lending against shares, investors will be able to pledge more shares and borrow higher funds against the securities, etc. So markets have cheered all these proposals. How are you looking into this? What are your thoughts when you look at all these proposals that have been made by the regulator?
See, one thing, Nandita, you have to give in is to the regulator. They have been proactive, all throughout in the last many years that we have seen, even when it comes to curbing, any excesses that have been there in the system. or even when it comes to boosting when it is needed, right? So I think regulator has been very pro growth, pro development across through all the possible manners, that can be there in the last 6 months, right? And this today's actions, all the actions rather, have been just one more step in that direction. So I think this and it's there for us to see in the way how markets have cheered that as well, right? So I think regulators have been very proactive on both the sides. They continue to be proactive, and that's a very good sign for the overall economy and for the markets as well. We should be very happy with that.
Sure, point taken. And yes, as you rightly pointed out, excesses have also been, addressed in the same fashion. And now, when it's time to boost the system, this is what the regulator has really proposed. But before I let you go, Kunal, we're just about entering the second quarter earnings season as well, in the sense that numbers will be starting to come out next week. Uh, of course, TCS will be the first one to report. Your expectations overall from the IT space, first quarter, anyway, the expectations were muted. This time, given the fact that we have so much happening in terms of visa curbs, etc., are the expectations, have the expectations gone even low?
I think our overall dependence before taking on the result call on IT, I think the visa dependence for us has come down meaningfully from the first time Trump talked about it way back in 2017-18, if you remember, right? So in fact, in a sense, it's more of a Swades moment for us. Where people will now think of, opportunities and avenues other than India, which also should kind of augur well for us back home in India. Second is, any which ways, as I said, the dependence on H-1B visa has meaningfully come down to have an impact on all the IT companies from 2017, where all this started for the first time. Coming to numbers, I think mid-cap IT companies should report much better numbers still than the large cap, IT companies. Still for large cap IT companies, the growth is pre-COVID levels, but valuations, even after the correction, are post-COVID levels. So till the time we see earnings upgrades to happen or improvements to happen, which, to my mind, still for large cap IT companies is 1 or 2 quarters away. I still think we'll have to see how this plays out. But for sure, mid cap IT companies will report better numbers this time around, much better than the large cap IT companies.
Okay, mid cap, of course, better poised when it comes to earnings. That's the call then. Of course, Kunal, we will touch base with you when the earnings start coming in for your initial thoughts on the numbers as and when they come out. And of course, I'll be touching base with you then as well. But for now, I would like to thank you for taking out time. I'm afraid we are running out of time. Would love to have taken more questions with you, but I'll save it for another day. Have a very happy evening and a happy festive season as well. I'll see you soon.
Thank you. Same to you and your viewers. Pleasure always.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, then let's shift focus to the market then. We are above that 24,800 mark, holding on to that crucial level. Hopefully we will be ending around the 24,850 mark. So that's some good news because after 8-day slump, this has come as the much needed relief that traders and investors were really waiting for. Mid caps also in fine fettle, now rubbing shoulders with large cap peers. The advance decline ratio pretty solid. That's 5:2 on the NSE, and looking at the Nifty Bank Index, that has cleared that 55,350 mark. So yes, I think key technical levels have also been violated on the upside. I think 20 DMA has been taken off, which is a good sign. And of course, as Kuunal was also mentioning, this may be the start of an up move. In terms of movers, Tata Motors, that's the big mover on the index, up almost 7%. Record date for CV business demerger is October 14th. We are also awaiting their sales data for the month of September. So that's another thing that investors will watch out for. I think that sales data have actually come out. In fact, total sales for second quarter are up 12% on a year-on-year basis, and total CV sales are up 16% on a year-on-year basis. Passenger vehicle sales, including electric vehicles sales, are up 47% on a year-on-year basis. So, sales numbers also looking pretty solid, and of course, there is a record date for the business demerger also. That's that the investors really have taken note of. But on that note, let me bring on board our second guest for today. Joining me is Rajesh Bhosale of Angel One. Rajesh, lovely chatting with you this afternoon. We've come out of an 8-day slump. Thankfully, some cheer ahead of the Sera. What do you think? Is this just a relief rally, or it has more legs? And 24,900, we could be looking at crossing that level pretty soon on Friday.
Hi, afternoon, and thank you for having me on your show. So yeah, a great start for the October series. In fact, if we see, we had a similar move during the start of September month. And if we consider the trading candle of 1st September, prices have exactly reversed from that zone. On the daily chart, we are seeing some kind of bullish engulfing pattern. And the way the formation is happening, we are expecting that this up move can extend in the coming session or in the coming week towards 25,000. On the lower side, if we see some kind of formation, base formation is happening around 24,600 to 24,500. So buy on dip would be the approach. We are expecting 25,000 first, and possibly thereafter 25,500 would be retested.
Okay, music to the ears, 25,000. I mean, just yesterday we wouldn't even have thought of that kind of level, given the fact that we were staring at a 9-day slump on the index, but thankfully that hasn't happened. So yes, 25,000 very much possible in the coming days. But any BTST calls, Rajesh? Just about 5 minutes to go for the markets to open, to shut, I beg your pardon. Anything that's on your radar for a buy today, sell tomorrow kind of a strategy?
So two recommendations I would suggest. One is from the banking space, ICICI Bank. Also, Bank Nifty banking space has been showing relative strength since last 1 week. And ICICI Bank, if we see, it has precisely reversed today from its 200 DMA. On the daily chart, we are seeing a bullish engulfing pattern. And at current levels, we are seeing a very good risk reward ratio. So ICICI Bank can be bought. It is trading somewhere around 1370. 1345 would be the stop loss, and we are expecting a 1420 target. On the second recommendation would be a momentum stock, Fortis. It has been in a uptrend. Last 1 month, it has been in a consolidation. But finally, there is a strong breakout. So Fortis can be bought. It is trading somewhere around 990. 970 would be the stop loss, and we are expecting a target somewhere around 1030 in the coming session or in the coming week.
Okay, Fortis and ICICI Bank, these are the two BTST calls from Rajesh. Just about 3 minutes to go for the markets to shut. But let's talk about a Shriram Finance. Stock has taken off, and how 5% up today. Of course, some bit of news relating to stake sale, which the company has denied, but it has got the street really excited. Does it excite you looking at the charts?
So yes, charts are definitely very attractive. We are seeing a inverse head and shoulder price pattern breakout. In fact, volume surges as also there. So yes, a positive bias and possibly the stock is headed towards 680. But I would suggest if there is some kind of dip on Friday towards 640, 635 around the breakout levels, that would be an ideal level to buy. And as I said, 680, 690 would be the potential target as per the pattern I have discussed.
Okay, that's the view. Of course, the charts are looking attractive for a Shriram Finance. But are you convinced with the kind of up move that we have seen on the Nifty Bank today? Is this a convincing up move? Of course, as you mentioned, last few days the Nifty Bank has been outperforming the benchmarks. But today's move, does it give you the conviction that this up move has more legs, and in the coming days it could hit that 55,000? 500 kind of mark as well, not just 55,500, 500 on the upside, 55,700, 800. Are these levels something that one could think of at this juncture?
So what we are seeing on the daily chart is that recent correction, it exactly took support on the golden retracement of 61.8, and it was showing relative strength. PSU banks were supporting the markets, but today we are seeing strong buying in private banks as well. So higher bottom formation is definitely there on the daily chart, and we are expecting last week's high somewhere around 55,700 to be retested. And once that is taken out, fresh breakout of cup and handle can be seen, that can push prices further towards the 57,000 levels. So as of now, keep a positive bias. On the downside, if any stop loss needs to be placed, that would be around the 54,600. Positionally, we are expecting 56,000 and then possibly 57,000 levels.
Okay, 57,000 can't be ruled out in the Nifty Bank Index. But let's talk about some of the stocks that are buzzing from the mid cap end of the market. Looking at the likes of a NetWeb that have hit 52-week highs. What are your thoughts? How are these stocks or this particular stock actually plays when it comes to the risk reward ratio? Is it looking attractive, or do you think it's hitting the top somewhere now?
Also, if you see the chart structure of this NetWeb, it has seen a vertical move back with volume. So definitely a strong positive momentum counter. But fresh longs can be avoided because the indicators are already in a deep overbought territory. But those who are holding can continue with the rally. Possibly the retracement levels around 4280 to 4300 can be retested. Also continue to hold on, but those who want to enter should wait for dip, any kind of healthy dip towards 3500. We are seeing a 20 EMA somewhere around those levels. So for fresh buy, one should wait, but those who are having can continue to hold for the levels of 4300 levels.
All right, that's the view on NetWeb. But hold that thought. We'll come back to you, Rajesh, to take stock of how the markets have shut shop. 1% gains on the Nifty, 24,850. We've managed to shut shop above that level. So yes, good cheer coming in ahead of the Dussehra holiday. Yesterday, things were pretty bleak. No one would have expected the markets to react the way they did to the RBI policy, all thanks to the regulator. The fact that they have indicated that there is room for more rate cuts, plus all the slew of banking reforms that were announced by the RBI governor. Those are some of the things that really brought the bulls back to life, and of course injected a fresh release of life into the market, so to say. But yes, the broader end of the markets also participating similar moves. I think it's almost a 1% move on the Nifty mid cap index as well. Breadth was extremely positive. Portfolios looking good today. The bank Nifty is up in excess of 1%. Names like Tata Motors are all upbeat. Auto sales have also been pretty strong, and some of the automakers have clocked in double-digit growth as well in their sales figures. All the stocks like Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, HDFC Bank, all these banking names are looking good on the charts. ONGC, Adani Ports, Tata Consumer Trend also that so far is the worst performer of 2025 has managed to edge back into the green today. From the broader end of the market, some names that we could really look at in terms of the top movers. NetWeb, as I mentioned, hit a fresh 52-week high. LTI Finance also hit a fresh 52-week high, but the top gainer on the Nifty 500 index was Sun TV, up 15%. Escorts, good numbers, tractor sales data for the month of September. The stock up 6%. Adani Power, Sammaan Capital continues its upward move. Newland Labs, KPIT Tech, that was of course a laggard and saw deep cuts earlier this week, has managed to stage some kind of a comeback. And Granules India, Sirma SGS, Caplin Point, these are among the other notable names from the mid cap universe that have clocked in good gains. But aside of that, what do you make of the move on Sun TV? How is it looking? 602, that's the last traded price.
So till yesterday, we were seeing that every bounce was getting sold into, but today it has seen a very remarkable move up by more than 15%. I mean, it's a very strong move back with volume. and what we are seeing that it has engulfed the weakness of entire last 1 month's weakness. So yes, bias. I mean, some turnaround is happening. Possibly further legs can be expected. But as of now, I would suggest that wait for some dips because the prices have closed just around its 200 DMA. If in case there's some kind of dip towards 585 to 580 levels, that can be bought, and on the high side 640 to 650 would be an immediate upside level. So if anyone is buying, wait for dip towards 580, and 560 odd levels would be the stop loss.
Okay, that's about Sun TV 560. That should be the stop loss. Talk about the Tata Motors today. A very good up move there. Top Nifty gainer. Of course, the record date for the CV business demerger, and of course the sales data also came out for the quarter, and it looks pretty solid. Your thoughts technically, Tata Motors? Should this be bought into?
So if you see during September, there was strong buying in auto space after the GST 2.0 announcement, but Tata Motors was the one of the counters that didn't participate. But finally, we are seeing that momentum has triggered in, and after a long time, prices are holding about 200 DMA. So possibly there is a fresh breakout in today's session, and possibly this up move can extend further towards 750. So 750 is the level which one needs to watch. Once that is broken out, then 800 as well is possible. And on the downside, if you see higher bottom structure is there. So with a stop loss of 680, one can buy. Immediate target should be 750. And after that, 800 is also possible.
Okay, 800 possible on the charts of a Tata Motors. But before I let you go, Rajesh, we spoke about BTST strategies, but any positional plays, anything that should be bought for a positional play in this market for the next, say, 4 to 5 months?
So the counter which I'm liking is EB Capital. So if we see the stock, it was facing resistance somewhere around 290 for multiple times, but finally it has given that breakout. In fact, we are seeing a multi-year breakout as well. And positionally, the stock can head towards the levels of 340 to 350. That's a very strong upside from here onward. So the higher bottom formed around 277 would be the stop loss, and with a mind of somewhere around 3 to 5 months, the stock can move towards the levels of 340 to 350 levels.
Okay, at Birla Capital, that's one recommendation from Rajesh, but it's a positional play. Keep that on your radar. But with that, Rajesh, would like to thank you for taking out time and joining in this afternoon and sharing your thoughts. Pleasure chatting with you. Wishing you and everyone at Angel One a very happy festive season, a very happy Dussehra, and hope to see you before Diwali. So I'm not wishing you happy Diwali just yet.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Well then, those were some chart checks with Rajesh. We've had a good close on Dalal Street. Texture extremely different from yesterday. One wouldn't have thought that we would end above that 24,800 mark. But festive cheer is very much back on Dalal Street, and thanks to RBI. But let's also bring on board my colleague Yatin Mota, who's looking fairly happy because the mood has completely reversed thanks to the central bank. Yatin, one would have thought that we were actually staring at a 9-day loss, right?
Correct.
Which we haven't clocked in for a very long time. At least I don't remember. Thankfully, that has not happened. In fact, we've reacted so positively to the RBI policy, and that's also a rare occurrence. We don't see a very market-moving policy. We haven't seen in recent times. But good policy, and auto sales data have been good so far. So the bulls who were in slumber, who were sleeping, have been brought back to life by the regulator.
Correct, and I think the fine print of the RBI policy was quite strong. In fact, they have supported lending more to project-based categories, reducing the overall risk weightage for high-quality infra projects, probably on the lines of airports or probably solar projects, wind projects, renewable energy projects. Also, if you look at the glide path to following the expected credit loss norms which are kicking in, there is a proper glide path given so that the banks will not have to take a big kind of provision upfront. The RBI policy was quite strong for banks, and hence we had the Nifty bank rallying by nearly 700 points. Advance decline ratio looked quite strong, with the advance decline ratio, even better than 3:1. So, yes, a very good day for markets. And as you mentioned, the Navratri season was in the red, and suddenly on the last day, which is the Navami, we have the bulls taking charge of the markets. Quite auspicious, what do you call, the start for Dussehra tomorrow.
That's true.
And we clearly have the bulls in charge and bears on the back foot.
Bears on the back foot, and 25,000 can't be ruled out. I had a technical analyst on the show just now, and he mentioned that 25,000, once that gets cleared, the way to 25,500 would open up. But yes, a good day for autos as well. I think some of them saw some bit of profit taking although, but shares like Tata Motors are upbeat. There are quite a few triggers for that, but auto sales data per se, all in all, has been fairly strong. That was anticipated any which ways, because most of these automakers like Maruti had already said that the inquiries are pretty strong, and the inquiries that they've been getting post GST cuts have been very strong, and it's also reflecting in the numbers. Just taking you through some of them, Bajaj Auto, the sales there, total sales grew 9%, sold somewhere around 5.1 lakh units. Expectation was somewhere around 5 lakhs, so that's managed to top expectations there. Two-wheeler domestic sales were up 5%. Total two-wheeler sales were up 8%, and total CV sales also saw double-digit growth of 15%. In terms of M&M, auto sales were also pretty strong, 1 lakh units sold, which in fact saw an uptick of 16% on a year-on-year basis. The domestic passenger vehicle sales also grew 10%. Exports were up over 40%, and even three-wheeler sales were up somewhere around 30%. Tractor sales saw very, very strong up move, 49% up move on the tractor sales on a year-on-year basis. Same for Hyundai Motors, saw a double-digit growth in sales, 10%. Although the total domestic sales were up somewhere around 1% or thereabouts at 51,547 units. In terms of the commentary, just want to point out M&M, because they have said that, of course, GST cuts, favorable monsoon, these are some of the factors that, led to a very strong start to the festive season, even led to higher tractor demand. Even the MSP increase, the higher crop production, all these factors contributed to higher tractor demand. But October and November are also expected to be very strong for auto sales. So some experts that we had today throughout the day on Moneycontrol, I asked them how to play this auto rally, because they've already rallied quite a bit. Is it all in the price? They said that, okay, we've seen some bit of up move in the price, but sales wise things are just getting started. So the best way to play autos will be to hold on to them. Don't hurry to book profits right now, because the sales figures, the hard sales figures are going to be seen now onwards.
I think
September.
October also, will start on a good note. I spoke with M&M, and they were of the view that, September has ended on a strong note, but October will start on a good note.
On a good note, yeah.
So, yes, spillovers do happen, and we also have Dussehra, in the month of October, which typically is a day where you take a lot of deliveries, of motor vehicles and two-wheelers especially. So, yes, let's see how the Dussehra sales also move, because I'm very sure that a lot of auto companies will give their Dussehra updates also.
Yeah. So yes, auto sales in top gear, and we also saw what happened with Escorts. The stock is up 6%. Solid figures, right?
Correct.
Tractor sales data. But let's shift focus to Sun Pharma then, Yatin. A big booster shot, given the fact that Pfizer has struck a deal with the Trump administration to lower drug prices in US.
Yes. So, there are two brokerages today. First, let's start with Sun Pharma, wherein Citi has a buy call on the counter with a target of 2180. Now, Citi believes that, pharma stocks, especially Sun Pharma, which were, down on the talk that Trump might levy 100% tariff on branded drugs imported into the US. After yesterday, Trump spoke to Pfizer, and, Pfizer promised that they'll reduce drug prices by a big margin in the US markets. The threat of tariffs over pharma is probably behind us. Citi believes that the tariff risk on patented drugs has abated after the White House clarification. And obviously, if you look at the geopolitical risk related to pharma, they also are behind us. So, Sun Pharma, which has almost a 15-20% specialty drug portfolio, which is probably of branded drugs, they probably will not face a tariff as probably was earlier, expected in the marketplace, and hence the shares rallied nearly 3% in trade. And also, if you look at cement, it is a beneficiary of GST cuts. We have seen the GST on cement get reduced to 18% from 28%. CLSA has put out a high conviction buy on Ultratech cement with a target of 14,700. Now, we have CLSA which believes that the price hike and slowing capex concerns remain in the investor community. However, the management has clarified that the kind of GST benefits cement is getting, that will probably show up in volumes. Not only that, the demand growth post the festive season will drive the overall outperformance according to CLSA, and hence they are quite bullish on this particular name in the cement pack.
All right, that's about cement and of course Sun Pharma as well, but those were all the stocks that were on our radar this afternoon. I think we have one more trading day to go. Of course, tomorrow is a holiday and we come back on Friday, which hopefully will see an extension of this rally. But next week is when earnings season kicks off officially. We have 9th and TCS will be reporting its numbers. But on the IPO front as well, a lot of action, right? We have Tata Capital and LG Electronics, all both big ticket IPOs like thousands of crores, 15,000 and 11,000 if I am not mistaken. So yes, gearing up for that as well. IPO street has been unaffected by all the gloom any which ways. But now, last portion of the year, here on till December, I think lots of big ticket IPOs lined up. So keep all of them on your radar as well. But I think with that we've come to the end of this edition of Closing Bell. It was a good day of trade. Nothing really to complain going into the Shera holiday with a very, very good mood. Hopefully it stays like that and we come back on Friday and see 25,000 back on the screen as well. And I hope Yatin will be wearing green that day. But with that timed out, thanks a lot for tuning in. Here's wishing our viewers a very, very happy Dussehra. And we'll see you guys back on Friday. So don't forget to tune in then. Before that, in fact, one last message to our viewers, introducing Moneycontrol Super Pro, your ultimate investment superpower. Get live calls, trading and investment ideas from SEBI registered experts, pre-identified chart patterns and AI-powered stock alerts to help you trade and invest with confidence. Super Pro, where serious investors stay ahead. Download the Moneycontrol app and subscribe to